Welcome to your favorite channel, where you'll learn everything you need to know to improve your health and lifestyle. Let's get started.
Okay, get this. We take about 20,000 breaths a day, and we don't give a single one a second thought. But what if I told you that inside this simple, automatic process lies a hidden power? A power to boost your recovery, improve your health, and just supercharge your body's efficiency. So let's dive right in. Most of us probably remember that simple diagram from biology class, right? We breathe in oxygen, our body uses it, and we breathe out carbon dioxide. Case closed. Well, it turns out that's not the whole story, not even close.
In fact, that simple two-gas model we all learned, it leaves out a crucial third element, a molecule so important it completely changes how we should think about breathing itself.
To really understand why, let's just quickly revisit that classic story of respiration, the one we all know. So the textbook version goes something like this. Oxygen comes into the lungs, it hitches a ride on hemoglobin proteins inside our red blood cells, and then it gets chauffeured all around the body. In return, the waste product, carbon dioxide, gets picked up and exhaled. For decades, this was it. This was the complete picture. But here's where the story gets really interesting. We need to introduce a third, vital player in this process. A molecule that, believe it or not, was once considered just an air pollutant.
Meet nitric oxide, or NO for short. It's what's called a signaling gas, which means its job is to send crucial messages throughout the body. And it's a real powerhouse molecule. It's critical for relaxing and opening our blood vessels. That's a process called vasodilation. This is absolutely essential for regulating blood flow and, as we're about to see, for actually delivering oxygen.
So scientists knew our bodies produced NO, but for a long time they weren't exactly sure where most of it was coming from in our respiratory system. The big aha moment came from a landmark study in 1994 that finally pinpointed the body's primary NO factory. The way they figured this out was pretty clever. Researchers measured exhaled NO levels in adults who had a tracheostomy. This allowed them to isolate different parts of the airway. So when these individuals breathed through a tube directly into their lower airways, they exhaled a tiny 2 parts per billion of NO. Breathing through the mouth, that number jumped up to 14. But through the nose, it absolutely skyrocketed to 22. The conclusion was undeniable. Almost all of the nitric oxide in our breath is produced right there in our nasal passages. So, knowing that our nose is basically a nitric oxide factory, how does that discovery fundamentally redefine the entire way we breathe?
Well, this quote from Dr. Jonathan Stamler, who's a leading researcher in this field, just captures the shift perfectly. We need to stop thinking of breathing as a simple two-gas exchange. It's really a three-gas system: oxygen, carbon dioxide, and nitric oxide. And here's the crucial point. NO isn't just along for the ride, it's the gatekeeper. You know, for years, doctors were a bit puzzled. There was this disconnect between how much oxygen was being carried in the blood and how much was actually getting delivered to our tissues. Nitric oxide is the missing piece of that puzzle. Think about it like this. Oxygen is the essential package that your cells are desperately waiting for. Hemoglobin in your red blood cells, that's the delivery truck, carrying that precious package through your bloodstream. But the truck can't just drop the package off on the side of the road. It needs a destination. Nitric oxide, which gets picked up as air passes through your nose, is the key. It travels with the hemoglobin and basically tells the blood vessels when and where to open up, allowing that delivery truck to pull over and finally drop off its vital package. Without that key, the truck just keeps driving and the delivery is incredibly inefficient. Okay, this science is amazing for sure, but let's connect it to something really tangible: athletic performance and, maybe even more importantly, recovery. A recent study decided to put this whole thing to the test. Researchers had healthy people perform 2 really intense anaerobic tests, once breathing only through their mouth and the other time breathing only through their nose.
And the results were fascinating. Now, the peak power output was about the same for both, but participants felt like the exercise was way harder when they were breathing through their mouths. But the real magic happened after the workout. The nasal breathing group showed dramatically better recovery, with faster muscle reoxygenation and much improved blood flow. In fact, here's the kicker. The study found that the speed at which muscles got their oxygen back after that intense workout was 95% faster when breathing through the nose. Let that sink in. That is nearly double the recovery rate, all thanks to harnessing that nitric oxide to efficiently deliver oxygen right where it's needed.
So what does all this mean for you? Not just in the gym, but in your everyday life?
Well, let's just recap the benefits of breathing through your nose. First, it uses nitric oxide to unlock efficient oxygen delivery to your entire body. It turbocharges your muscle recovery. And beyond that, research shows that NO in your nasal passages acts as a first line of defense with antiviral and bacteriostatic properties that help fight off airborne germs. Plus, by helping regulate blood flow, it supports your entire cardiovascular system.
And you know, the best part is that you can start taking advantage of this right now. You don't need any fancy equipment. Just start paying attention. The next time you go for a walk or even do some light exercise, just make a conscious effort to breathe in and out through your nose. It is, without a doubt, one of the simplest and most powerful health upgrades you can possibly make.
It's a pretty powerful reminder, isn't it? That sometimes the most profound discoveries aren't about finding something new, but about better understanding the incredible systems we already have. The simple, automatic act of breathing through your nose holds so much power. It really makes you wonder, what other profound health secrets are hiding right under our noses?
Here are some tips to help you have a healthy and strong body and mind. Remember that we upload videos every day.
Welcome to The Explainer. We're breaking down longevity and biohacking and how you can actually apply them. First, a modern paradox. Then, the real goal. And finally, your toolkit for taking action. So here's the central question. Modern medicine helps us live longer, but are we living healthier? Lifespan is just how long you live. Health span is how many of those are good, healthy years. That's the goal. Currently, about 20% of the average life is spent in poor health. That's a huge gap to close. And this quote really nails it. It's not about anti-aging, it's about adding life to your years. And this isn't science fiction. Longevity science is all about preventing age-related decline before it starts. And biohacking? That's how you do it. It's using data to make smart choices for your own biology. So what's the big idea here? We're shifting from reacting to sickness to proactively preventing it. Okay, so how do you actually apply all this? Let's think of it like a pyramid, starting at the bottom. The foundation is all about lifestyle, diet, exercise, sleep. These are the absolute basics you can control now. Okay, next level up, proactive monitoring. This means using data to see what's really going on inside. Epigenetic clocks, for example, can estimate your biological age from your DNA, way more telling than your birthday. Then you've got DEXA scans. This gives you the real inside story on your muscle, fat, and bone density. Metabolic flexibility is huge. It's just how well your body switches fuel sources, from carbs to fats. All right, level 3, targeted interventions. Think supplements and tech that zero in on specific aging pathways. This is where it gets really interesting. For example, senolytics are compounds that clear out dysfunctional zombie cells. And at the very top of the pyramid, medically supervised therapies that target the core drivers of aging. New thinking suggests an order of operations here. Boost energy, then do cleanup, then remove cellular junk. So when you put it all together, you see the big picture. It's a huge shift in how we see health. And this chart says it all, right? We're moving away from just reacting to illness toward preventing it. So this leaves us with a question. Longevity is about adding life to your years. How will you invest?
If you found this video helpful, please subscribe and help me reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers so I can bring you better content. See you tomorrow with a new video.